Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with the reveal for the October 2017 Scrapping for Less Flavor of the Month card kit, and it is absolutely beautiful. So as always, you get your ingredients and your sketches, which will be links down in the video description as always. So let's dig right in and let's see what's in this wonderful package. So of course you get your cardstock. Now we're going to look at the Double Dip Sundae level first. So your colors are going to be Paper Bag Craft, Jelly Bean Green, Cotton Candy, Wild Cherry, Red Hot, Berrylicious, and you will get 2 of the 110-pound Nina. So that's your cardstock. It's a beautiful palette. So for collection number 1, as I fight with the plastic bag that everything comes in, because that's what I do. So this is, each one is just filled. You get your sequins by Buttons Galore. You're going to get 2 tags by Kaiser Craft, a beautiful stamp called Christmas Bug by Stamp and Bella, some great ephemera called Christmas in the Village, and then you have Christmas in the Village paper by Bo Bunny. And this is single-sided, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I am in love with the colors, and as always, you get an envelope. For collection number 2, and of course I'm digging for it because I couldn't find it. Yeah, you know, when things move across the table, it can get scary. I'm telling you. So within this pack, you get a beautiful stamp set by Gina K, and it's called Ornaments, and it was designed exclusively for Scrapping for Less. You get a full roll of ribbon by Doris, and know that the colors will vary. Mine happen to be wine. Here Comes Santa, ephemera, and then, of course, Here Comes Santa by Photoplay, paper, and this is double-sided. And then, of course, you also get sequins by Buttons Galore, and of course you will get the envelope as well. Love that collection as well. Collection 3. This one's going to include, as always, a pack of sequins by Button Galore. It's going to include some wooden Christmas shapes. So these are just some die cuts with wood. The sequins are beautiful because they're all white, so they will be great for a snow shaker. These are the shapes that you could get, of course, in the envelope. You also are going to get some Christmas borders. These are some great die cuts just to accent your card. Your paper is Jolly by Pink and Main. Some really cute colors. Again, on the different side for Christmas, non-traditional colors, but I think they are great. Sometimes I like the non-traditional colors sometimes. A beautiful stamp set called Joy to the World by Pink and Main, created exclusively for Scrapping for Less. Now that was collection 3. Now again, so far everything I'm showing is in the Double Dip Sundae. Collection 4. Of course, there are your sequins, as always, by Button Galore. A beautiful stamp set called Cookies for Santa by Scrapping for Less. Also get some transparencies. They will be different within each kit. You know, they're not going to be the same. Some are going to be in green, some are going to be in a red. But there should be a green and a red in there. But again, all of them will not be what I'm showing here. You're also going to get some sugar cookie die cuts, which are also by Scrapping for Less. The paper is Santa's Workshop by Echo Park, and it is double-sided. I am loving that page right there. Seeing all kinds of possibilities. And these are just more on the traditional side for colors. And that is collection 4. So everything that I've just shown up until 9 is in, or just until 9, just up until now, is all within the Double Dip. Now, if you sign up for the banana split, everything you saw so far, plus this goodie pack, you will receive. Now, you're going to get either sugar or frosted stickles. An awesome stamp set, Reindeer Games by Scrapping for Less. You're going to get a jute or burlap type stocking, And you're also going to get a tag die. Now, there's a variety of sizes that are out there. So I'm not sure if that's a medium. I don't know if that's the small. I don't know if that's the large. That's just the size that I get. Your size could be different. Again, please remember, some of the items in this kit could be different than what I'm showing. So let's get started and make our cards. So for card number 1, I am using, of course, collection 1, and of course I'm looking for my cards right now, but I'm setting up the tag. And what's great with these tags, they already had, well, and I totally forgot, the ring for the hole of the tag to hold the twine a little bit better. And now I remember that's called an eyelet. Okay. So you can see, to save time, I did already die cut some pieces, trim some pieces down. So for this, I'm going to just make that a little bit shorter, and I'm going to fishtail each ends, and that is about 1.25 inches wide by about 3 inches, approximately. For the next, I'm going to do the same. Now this is about 1/2 inch wide, and I'm going to fishtail each ends of it as well. So the tag is kind of going to serve as my focal point and also my sentiment. I think Merry Christmas says it all. So I'm just playing around with layering. I grabbed one of the ephemera pieces of that cute little house or town hall, whatever you want to call it. But I thought it was a little bit too big. Still playing around with the placement. Of course, I pulled out my vintage photo. Had to do that. And I'm going to go around each of the pieces. To me, the vintage photo can be used at any time. It doesn't matter what color that you use. It just helps to make that piece stand up. It gives it dimension and also adds a little bit of texture. I'm going to use my Nuvo liquid adhesive to put down my first banner towards the bottom of the design base. And then I'm going to prop up the tag, and I'm going to be using double-sided foam tape for that. Once I have that in place, that's going to go down onto the card base over that green strip, but on an angle. I'm not worried about the edge of the twine yet. I'll trim that up once it's on my card base, because then I'll know where to cut. I don't want to make it too short or, too long, because I've done that. For this red banner, I want that to go up over the tag. So kind of like the tags caught in this. So just on one area, I'm putting a little piece of double-sided foam tape, the rest with glue. And then I'm putting some glue down along the left-hand side there. And within the sequin pack are these beautiful tree sequins. And they're a nice size. So I wanted to put 3 of those going up the side. And then I'm going to follow up by gluing this panel onto my card base. Now, all of my card bases for this series are standard A2 size, which are 4.25 by 5.5. Usually a top folding, but yeah, there might be one that's a side folding because I made it a landscape card. And then I'm going to come in with my red glitter Nuvo drops just to fill in those holes on the sequins and just to give it some glitter and shine. And I think that just finished off the card real nice. I tap it very gently. There were no cards injured during the filming of this video in any way. And I just trimmed off the tail of my tag. For card number 2, I did use collection 2 and also sketch 2. So here I have a small piece of watercolor paper. And that watercolor paper is the Canson XL watercolor paper. That is my favorite, and that is my go-to. I have others, but this is really the one that I do like the most. So I grabbed 2 of my distress inks in pine needles and aged mahogany. They're the more traditional colors. Now, usually when we do this, because it's a solid image, we add water right to the stamp. No, I'm actually going to really get these ornaments coated. I'm going to stamp it down onto the watercolor paper, and I'm going to keep pushing down on this stamp. I want that ink to soak into the watercolor paper. I'm going to spritz it. I'm going to let it soak. Unfortunately, I take this off camera a little bit, but you can see after I let it set and I spray it again with a mister, these colors just start moving. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. This is kind of a different type of Christmas card. Some people may say it's a little weird because I'm just letting those colors go. I brought in my heat gun so that it would stop moving. If I continued to just let it dry, those colors would have melded together. Green and red, they could possibly make a mud. I don't want mud. So once that panel was dry, you can still see the shape of the ornament. But I am in love. Again, my card, you may not be, but I'm just in love with the watercolor effect that comes off of the side. So again, you could either stamp on the solid image, add water to the stamp and stamp down. You're going to get a different look. Or you can put it on the stamp, push it down onto the watercolor and spray it. So you'll get two different effects, but it'll still look watercolored. Now I used the bow and the string from the stamp set with my VersaFine. I didn't think it was thick enough because there's a lot of boldness with that image going on. So I just grabbed my Sharpie and went over the image with it. The Sharpie is watercolor as well. I went around the edge with my vintage photo, and now I'm grabbing some glitter cardstock gold that was in my stash, and I'm just placing it right up to the piece and I'm trimming around it. I'm okay if it's not perfect, but once I set it in the one corner, I know I would have a straight edge, and I made sure I did use my 9.5 shears that are a must. They're really the only pair of scissors I will use. I love them that much. So that's the focal panel that we've made. I've chosen the red, black, and white plaid panel, and I just cut that down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I've got a scant border going around the edge of it. I cut off a piece from the ribbon that is in my kit as well. And I'm just doubling it. I'm going to wrap it around. I am not going to give you too much pain here because this just takes me forever. I finally figured out, use the tweezers. Yes, I've seen that many times from Amy R. You think I'd remember to do it. So I use the tweezers so I can tie my bow. I am horrible at bow tying. Don't know what it is. Just can't tie a bow. I've tried everything. I've tried Gina's videos. It's not a happy process, but I eventually get there. It just takes a long time. I'm going to trim off these edges. I probably could have edited more of that out. Okay. Going to trim off some of the edges, and then I'm going to realize that I just need to push that down just a little bit. And since this is just wrapped around the card design panel right now, I can still move it. I want to separate the two strands or two pieces of ribbon that I have there. I like it when they're kind of separated from each other around the bow. And I'm just going to set some double-sided tape there so that they can be held in place. I'm going to use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to set my focal point down because I really want that secured on there. And I am one to grab for a liquid adhesive. Don't get me wrong, I love my tape runners. They're quick, they're fast, they're simple. But I do tend to grab for a liquid adhesive more. There was something that I just wanted to come off of that bow. I went into the die pack and I found this pretty little banner that was already cut out with hollies and berries, and I thought that just looked absolutely perfect. I'm going to pull off the release tape from the two pieces of double-sided tape I have on the back, grab my glue, and set that down on my standard A2 size card base, which is a top folding card base. Now, if you notice we're missing something, and of course that's the sentiment. Not that we always have to have a sentiment. I think we do a lot of work on the front sometimes. Sometimes we do the work that takes us no time at all, but we don't want to cover it. Okay, those are my feelings. It's something that I think. But if you feel the same way, you know what? There's nothing wrong with opening the inside of your card and stamping your sentiment in there. I like to add 3 dots when I do that because then it's like a continuation from the outside of the card. Okay, for our third card, I used Collection 3 and Sketch 1. And I thought these characters were just oh too precious. So I already cut a piece of cardstock, a white piece of cardstock using one of my plain circle dies. Now I chose a specific size so that these characters, the 3 of them, would fit in there. But I wanted them to fit on the top half a little bit. I'm going to use my VersaFine ink to stamp them. And I was going to do some masking. I decided against it. I was going to put the lantern in the back, but what I really wanted to do, I wanted to put the little birdie on the penguin's head. I just thought that would look cute. I'm going to add some music notes going around that panel, and our panel is ready to be stamped. Or, excuse me, ready to be colored. Now, what I chose to color it are my Arteza colored pencils. To save time, I did color them while not recording. But that's what they look like. I know, I'm stuttering there on that one. So I'm going to cut the bottom half of the circle off, and I used my Fiskars trimmer for that. That's got the wire in it. I've already got some of my cardstock shapes cut. So my red strip is 1 1/4 inch wide. And it's just going to go the length of this panel. This panel is a scant 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So there's going to be a very small border of white going around it. I'm going to prop up my half circle with my little characters up using my double-sided foam tape. And then once that's in place, I'm going to set my green strip going across underneath that. So there's going to be a combination of liquid adhesive and foam tape for the part that does come off of the circle. I created out of the green as well a banner that's going to sit in the upper left hand corner, and that's going to be decorated with one of those wooden die pieces. So you'll see that in a little bit. I chose the sentiment "Joy to the World," and I'm going to stamp that on a 1/2 inch strip of white cardstock, and I'm just going to trim the edges. And I'm going to try to make sure that it's centered. So you can see I'm trimming a lot, just a lot. Once I have that set, I'm going to grab a piece of double-sided foam tape, and I'm going to prop that up just below, coming off of the green strip. So in a way, it kind of looks like, excuse me, kind of looks like they're in a globe. I don't know. I was looking at it and that's what I saw. But I think it's really cute. I used my liquid adhesive to put it down on my standard A2 side card base. So this is a side folding because I did make it a landscape. I pulled out my gold mousse by Tonic Studios because I love the mousses. And I just have a piece of Cut and Dry by Ranger, and I always cut those pieces down if I want to real quick just cover a piece. And that's what I did. I chose to put the gold on top of the wooden die cut. So instead of it being the wood, of course, now I've made it a little bit shimmering. You can use anything for this. You could use your finger, you can use a makeup sponge, whatever it is. A piece of Cut and Dry just happened to be near me. I pulled out my Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and I'm going to cover that green strip so I have some glitter going along that band. And then I pulled out my White Blizzard Nouveau drops, and I'm going in the hats for the brims, for the balls at the end, for the stripes and the scarves that were left white. And then I'm going to add some accents to the snowflake in the upper right hand corner. So the blizzard is actually more another way to get dimension, but also get a lot of glitter. There is a ton of iridescent glitter in that white blizzard by Nuvo. So it's a great accent. It's not just for enamel dots. We can use it to fill in things. Again, gently tapping the card onto the table just to even out the dots. For our next card, I used collection 4 and sketch number 3. And again, to save time, I already have some of the pieces cut. I used a die from my stash that automatically has rounded corners and with stitch marks. And I cut 2 of those in different sizes. The first one I'm going to glue directly down onto my card base, so no design panel this time. And the second one, I'm going to prop that up, excuse me, using some double-sided foam tape. And make sure when you do that, your paper's going in the right direction that you want. Ask me how I know. Yes. I also pulled out a stitched circle die from my stash. I cut that out and I stamped the sentiment, "Is that you, Santa Claus?" And I am in love with the font. And I used one of my Gina K inks for that. I believe it is Jelly Bean that I used. I'm cutting a banner and I'm fishtailing one end of it, and I'm going to set that across just below the sentiment, "Is that you?" And then I grabbed one of the die cuts, the cookie die cuts, so it's like a plate, almost, and I'm going to set that down onto the bottom corner there. Pulled out the sequins, and I'm just looking for the red ones. I wanted to have some red accents, so I'm putting them in the centers of some of the snowflakes and in the area of the sentiment. And then I'm going to come in with my white blizzard and just put a dot within the center of each of the sequins to give it some more glitter. And I'm going to come in with my red glitter and add those to the dots on the cookie to give that some dimension. So very simple, pretty quick. So if you go to this banana split, I'm going to use the die from that and also the stickles. So I'm using papers from all the other collections. I've die cut them out. And then I'm going to place them onto this blue cardstock from one of the collection packs. Once they're adhered onto this piece of cardstock, I'm then going to come in and I'm going to cut them out. So as long as I place them evenly down into the corners, if you know I hit 3 of the corners, I know where to cut along my scissors. So instead of cutting a separate one, I'm able to get a border around each of my dies. I used a snowflake embossing folder from my stash for my panel, and I dry embossed that through my Spellbinders Platinum machine. I've pulled out some eyelets. Yes, I remembered what they were called. And I very rarely do this. I have problems with the machine. It is the operator, but I was able to get these 2 on. Not a problem this time. So I chose gold, and now I'm going to pull out some hemp cord, and I'm going to create the tassels for my tags. I did double that up. I do, whenever I make tags, I do like to have a lot of the tassel. I actually call them tassels coming off the tag, because I do put a lot there. I don't like just a single ribbon. So if you hear me say the word tassel, 9 out of 10, I'm putting a lot of stuff through that hole on my tags. I adhered the first tag directly down using liquid glue. The second, I'm going to use some double-sided foam tape just to give this panel a little bit more dimension. And then once that's in place, we're going to play with where this is going to go and where the ends of my tassels are going to go. So I was able to tuck the first one right around, and it goes right up underneath, and it's staying there because I got it in the glue. And for the second one, I used a micro dot just to hold that down in place. Again, using my liquid glue to place down the design panel onto my standard A2 size card base, and it is top folding. I grabbed a piece of vellum, and I'm going to use some clear embossing ink, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment Happy Holidays. And again, I love this font too, but I think I shifted when I stamped it the first time, so I did stamp it a second time. I'm using my gold embossing powder, and I'm going to heat set that. Now remember, when you're heat setting on vellum, you want to move very quickly and make sure your heat gun is heated up, or else your vellum will warp badly. So I'm going to cut these two out. I'm using my Fiskars trimmer again, because again, it has that metal wire in there, and I've never had a problem with the wire getting in the way. But I knew this would allow me to get on each side of those pieces to have an even cut and a straight line. Just one of the many ways I try to get that. Yeah, all kinds of ways. So I'm going to set that in place along the panel, and I'm going to use my stickles just to some of the areas on the panel. Now, the stickle that I got was frosted, and it's just a lot of glitter. When it dries, it is just a lot of iridescent glitter, so it's really nice. Now, know with the stickles, yes, while they are similar looking to the Nuvo glitter drops, stickles do take a little bit more time to start setting up. Where your Nuvos do, you still need to let them dry for 24 hours for best results. At least that's what I have found. But same with stickles. So just be aware of that. They do not act and work the same as your Nuvo glitter drops. As always, here are the close-ups at a normal speed so that you can see some things of what we did, of the cards that we made today. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe here. You don't want to miss anything else that's coming. Make sure you get your flavor of the month kit for October. This one is going to sell out fast. I just know it. It's going to be awesome. So make sure you get yours. All the links will be down below in the video description. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope everyone's having a great day, but always remember what's most important for me. Always be creative.